Hey guys, welcome back. So today's a plant tour video. I have a lot to do. It's mainly going to be repotting and just like, I don't know, just a lot of things. And so let's start now with some propagation. So in a previous video, I chopped up my scindapsus and also my Syngonium wetlandia. So let's grab you and we're just going to bring you to the living room. Okay, so we're starting off with the scindapsus over here. I think I mentioned before I was planning to put it in LECA once it hydrated itself. So I have some LECA here. I'm just gonna wash it in the sink. So because I know I wanna, train these cuttings eventually up a pole, I'm gonna use my cake dowel method where I zip tie the cake dowels into here. I think this just saves time because a lot of the time they don't need to be repotted. So I'm just putting it in, measuring to the top of the pot and cutting like this. Ooh. And I'm just cutting a second one here. There we go. Okay, the sun is setting, guys. I don't know what y'all can see, but I can't really see anything. Okay, so at this point, you're just taking the net pot out and just taking a zip tie and securing the cake dowel in place. Okay, we have one zip tied there, and we're just gonna add a second one right over here. Okay. So just like that, and so again, just to demonstrate, just because most of my moss poles are secured using these wires, I just basically slot it like that, put the moss pole, then it's all secure. Again, the main reason why I do this is because I don't need it currently. And so we have our pot, we have our LECA here. We're just gonna put a thin layer at the bottom. I think I propagated this a week ago, so there's not gonna be any roots. But I think I mentioned that it was very dehydrated. I'm just popping them in with the hope that they'll propagate okay in LECA. I haven't owned too many scindapsus. I remember my scindapsus trivia in Moonlight. I no longer have, unfortunately. It didn't die. I just was, again, I'm downsizing. But I propagated that one in single leaf cuttings in LECA. So I'm hoping this one behaves the same way or similar. Okay, I think the LECA level is too high, so I'm just dumping some out. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so I have them all in here. I'm just putting more LECA. Oh no. There's a piece of LECA that went in the cake dowel. Okay, okay, is this gonna work? Oh, I pushed it more. Will it escape out the bottom? Okay, we did it, everyone. I know people might think this is a lot of cuttings in one pot, but when you think of full baskets of like pothos, for example, this is the way they propagate them to have that look. Also, not all of these cuttings will survive, unfortunately. I'm hoping for about 80%. That's usually my goal. Okay, so here she is. I am going to put some nutrient solution. Just knowing that the cuttings are over here, I'll put the nutrient solution up to here. Okay, so here it is. I'm just gonna pour it on top. Okay. So that's about it. I'll put it back to where she was. Okay, my Syngonium wetlandia cuttings. So I'll put her in this self-watering pot with Pon, and I'm gonna do that cake dowel thing again. So I'll just cut here and here. There we go. Okay, so I have my Pon here, and I'm just gonna put a thin layer at the bottom. You know, I had my moment where I really loved the wetlandia. It was a little weird though, because I came to realize that I really liked the silver stripe in the center. When it matures, it tends to get really thin and then develop these lobes. And I wasn't sure if I was a fan of that. So that's why I propagated my whole plant. I just kind of made a big pot of it. Obviously, I neglected her in the end, but this time we're not going to do that. I think I'm okay. And yeah, at this point, like I'll take some leaves like this one. I don't know what happened to that, but I'll take a few leaves off before I put them in. I don't know what happened here, guys. But the stem is fine. It's not squishy or anything. I might just put it in and hope for the best. Because this one has 2 leaves, I might take the bottom one off. And if y'all are longtime viewers, I have mentioned before that this plant, I got it with 2 leaves. and she didn't look the greatest, but she was a gift. And this plant was never on my radar ever, but it really became one that I was obsessed with. Again, these are not rooted, so I'm gonna keep a close eye on the water level. I need to make sure, because a year ago I did propagate a lot of these Syngoniums in pond, and I didn't wash the water level, so a lot of it dried out, and as a result, because they didn't have any roots, the cuttings would just die. So just knowing that, I'm gonna just make sure that these stay consistently moist. Then we'll take the pond again. Oop, I'm spilling the rocks. And we're just gonna add a layer. Okay, so here she is. I just love how bushy she is right now. And some nutrient solution on top. For these pots, I'm not necessarily, looking at the meter, just because I just like to remember where I put the cuttings. And then I just hit the water level slightly under. I think we're hitting at about here. And again, under a grow light, just to initiate that root growth. Okay, the next one I'm going to repot is Hoya latifolia Snow Queen. For some reason, maybe because I wasn't hopeful about the splashing, because if y'all remember, I bought this Hoya with minimal splashing, so I kept chopping it, and eventually I got one vine that started pushing out a lot of splash. So I guess because I wasn't hopeful, I didn't use the cake dowel method, and now she's climbing. So, now I'm always gonna do the cake dowel method because future Kevin will appreciate it. So I actually don't need to do the cake dowel method because she's already trying to climb. So I have these 2 wire trellises from Crystal Star Nursery, and I'm just gonna try my best to zip tie it to the net pot. So I'm basically doing the same method that I did with the cake dowels in the beginning, but this time just with a wire trellis. Okay, and I'm just gonna zip tie the second one in place. If y'all are trying this, it's not gonna feel secure. I'm kind of relying on, both these wires supporting each other. I will zip tie it at the very top here. And obviously with the LECA and, the root growth, they will stabilize a little bit more through time. See, there's a lot of root growth, but I'm gonna try to keep the majority of them because they're all healthy, guys. Okay, let me just pour some liquid in here. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's still happening. Oh, okay. Okay, look at that. So there are 2 plants. Oh, I just want to show you the roots, and LECA's just dropping everywhere. You see the roots, guys? They're so healthy. Okay, let's put you in. I'm kind of debating, guys, if I want to put this one in. It's not speckled at all. Well, you could see a little bit. Okay, I've decided I'm just going to keep the splashy one. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I might get rid of it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just put it in another pot by itself. Okay, so I'm just grabbing some clips here and just securing it onto the trellis. Okay, and there is a growth point that's not variegated at all. I'm just gonna cut it. This wasn't a clean cut. Okay. So similar to the other one, I might just put these 2 in the same pot and yeah, just have a regular latifolia. I'm just hoping, because when I got this plant, it only had 1 splashy leaf and it was this one. So every time I push out a green leaf, I would cut just above this leaf and eventually it gave me splashy leaves. So I'm hoping just by eliminating the green, there'll be new growth points of splash, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm happy with this one. And I'm just hitting a 3rd way up the net pot with nutrient solution. Okay, here we are, guys. So I'm just gonna put it in the same place. Good morning, guys. It is the next day. I actually was so tired, but it's a new day. I'm really excited because I have one of my monstera Thai constellation propagations. Look at this leaf. I know she looks a bit wonky, but what my plan is, I want to air layer these aerial roots here, and when they grow more roots, then I'll propagate them and just leave the mother plant in here. There's a new leaf coming. So guys, I think I'm going to just put sphagnum moss in this small Ziploc and just put them over the root over here. I know I could put pond, LECA, perlite beside it. I'm kind of out of containers at the moment, so we're just gonna use Ziplocs and moss. So I just have some sphagnum moss here, the Ziploc through. So I'm not necessarily packing it in, like I'm just making sure that I'm closing it just to keep the moss moist in here. Then I'm grabbing this ball of plant tape and I'm just gonna tie it to the plant just like that. Moving on to this one, I think I'm doing the same thing. Maybe I might try putting some LECA. Okay, I just have a Ziploc of wet LECA here. I'm gonna try, I don't know if this is gonna work. Do you know what? If I rest the bag on the pot over here, I think this might work. Adding some plant tape again to secure it around the plant. I'm just adding a little bit of nutrient solution in the LECA. I'm just putting enough nutrient solution that will keep the LECA moist. My biggest fear is that I don't want the LECA to dry out completely. And yeah, you could see the root just popping out here between the LECA, and then the other root here is fully covered in the moss. So like mentioned before, this Thai constellation is in pond. You could see that she's pretty dry right now. So I'm just adding leftover nutrient solution into the reservoir. So I'm hoping, you know, in the time that this leaf unfurls and hardens off, that there will be 2 new independent root systems. So when I propagate it, it'll be an easy transition and I'll have more Thai constellations. So I'm just putting her back where she is. She's actually not under grow light. My grow lights are very harsh when it comes to monsteras and also philodendrons. So she's kind of getting medium light right now. Okay guys, don't get mad. So I still have my Hoya CV Michele MB1255, I think. And she's still in moss. Okay, so today's the day we're finally going to put her into pond. She has been in the same moss for almost a year now. And for people that are familiar transferring Hoyas from moss to another substrate, this is incredibly annoying. And I personally find that you'll have an easier time if it's moist. So I'm just going to dip this in the nutrient solution, not the nutrient solution, just in water. I'm gonna wait till the moss, you know, absorbs some water. Then we'll take it off the roots and then I'll put her into pond. So we'll just put that off to the side for now. Let me just tell y'all now, I am obsessed with the Epipremnum pinnatum marble. The newest leaf, I know y'all have seen it before, but it's like bigger now. Like it's a lot bigger than the other leaves. The root underneath is latching onto the moss pole. I think the leaves are getting bigger. You can see that there's a new one. And it's like, it looks like it's gonna be completely marble. This plant is kind of following the pattern where these leaves are like more marbly than these ones. And so I'm excited. I've found that because there's less moss in these smaller moss poles, I do need to hydrate them more. I'm always scared because I should have used a chunkier mix when it came to my aeroid mix. Right now, she's on the verge of being dry, but I can feel that she doesn't necessarily need to be watered. So I don't know if this is the same with you guys, but during the fall, the fungus gnats really come out. It's actually under control now. I'm using the Pop Popper. So I've been using this as a preventative. I want to say like monthly. So I think the last time I put the beneficial nematodes into this medium was in September. So I'm just going to sprinkle some into the medium. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because, like I said, this aeroid mix is not as well draining as I would like. So the substrate stays wet. Fungus gnats love wet mediums, wet moss, wet everything. And so it's just part of my routine. Like I said, I release these like monthly just so the fungus gnat issue doesn't get out of hand. I feel like it's inevitable if you have plants in soil or an aeroid mix that you're gonna have fungus gnats. But I'm at a point where it's like well controlled, thankfully. Okay, so you could see that she's watered all the way through. I'm just gonna let her drain out a little bit. And you know, looking through the plastic here, you can see that the moss is fully wet. And so I'll just put her off to the side here. And guys, y'all are gonna see this plant like every week, along with the Epipremnum. My philodendron brantiatum has really just latched on to this moss pole. She is still a little bit moist, but the top part is a little bit dry. So I just wanna wet it a little bit. And also I'm gonna add more into the moss pole here. Guys, look at her. She is so pretty. So just angled down like that. And we're just wetting it. Okay, so like I said, I'm just gonna add more moss on top. Okay guys, I think that's enough for now. And lastly, again, I'm just kind of guiding the stems onto the moss pole. Obviously these plants are growing at different rates, so I'm just adjusting because there's some that were a bit lower in the plant and now they're growing on top of the plant tape. So I'm just taking the plant tape off and just wrapping those new stems against the moss pole. Okay, we're just gonna put this last one up here. I think we'll be good. Okay guys, super exciting, look at this plant. And I'm just adding new nutrient solution into the reservoir. And okay, so going back to the Michele here, she is completely moist. So now I'm just gonna take the roots, take the moss off the roots. I try my best not to break the roots, but most of the time I have no choice. My plan is to submerge the rest of the stem under pond, and doing that will help with, I'm just breaking them all. Let's just start from the beginning, guys. There was no way of getting into the moss here. I am a bit more aggressive when it comes to Hoyas and moss and, not necessarily caring about ripping roots because thankfully Hoyas, they root at many places on the stem. Sometimes it's really hard to tell what's root and what's moss. Sometimes I look at darker brown parts indicating that it's moss. Usually for Hoyas, the lighter parts are roots and the darker ones are not. And yeah, obviously you need a lot of patience to do this. So because this is going to take 500 years, I guess I'll talk a little bit. So are y'all interested in another Q&A? I got a lot of comments on Instagram in my DMs that they missed my Instagram story, to submit your questions. And so I don't know if it's too soon to put out another Q&A, but let me know if you want to see another one. Oh yeah, and a question for you guys. Last year, I said in one of my videos what my favorite candy during Halloween was. If y'all remember what it was, please let me know. I'm so curious if y'all remember. It's a really weird one, and sometimes I get a lot of hate for it, but a lot of y'all told me in the comments that y'all love this candy. So okay guys, I think this is the best that I can do. So I'm just gonna rinse the cutting under the faucet. Because I mentioned I'm out of containers or planters, I'm just gonna put her in a cup, just a clear one, just so I can see if there's any new root growth. So I'm just using this cup. I'm putting a temporary trellis here, and I'm just adding some pond to the bottom. Then just putting the plant inside and just making sure the stem that doesn't have roots is going to be covered by the pond. Okay, so here we are, guys. I'm just gonna put some nutrient solution, and okay, we're about halfway. I think that's where the roots are right now. Usually, if I have a long tendril, I just cut it off, but the thing is, there's peduncles. There's 2 of them, and if y'all remember, I'll pop in a picture here. It was the most beautiful flowering situation, and I was obsessed. So we're gonna keep these 2, and hopefully it blooms again one day. And yeah, I'm gonna put this in my room just under a grow light. Ooh, okay guys, I have my strawberry shakes in soil here. I'm just going to water and bottom water these in the sink. She is super dry. I actually might get rid of this because since the leaf only had a little bit of irrigation and the first 2 leaves don't have any irrigation, do you know what? Let's get rid of her. Goodbye. It's a little bit different with this one, for example. So this is the mother leaf. There's a lot of irrigation here. The first leaf was extremely variegated, but the other one was just green. This happens a lot where the variegation kind of alternates, and so I'm going to keep this plant. So mother leaf, and then the new leaf here. They're so pretty, guys. I don't care what people say. They're beautiful plants. Again, guys, I'm just adding the pot popper just because it's been a month. Because these are super dry, I'm going to let them sit in the sink for a little bit. I want to say maybe like half an hour. And then we're just gonna water them. Okay. So you can see they're submerged a little bit, so I'm just gonna let them sit for half an hour and then I'm gonna put them back on the tray. Okay guys, I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos. The next video, I will be repotting my monstera Boromarx flame into a bigger pot. And Friday's video is going to be me propagating a few top cuttings off some philodendron strawberry shakes. I kind of wanted a bigger plant, and so these propagations, the goal is just to let them grow really big. And so yeah, I'm really excited for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it to the very end, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys later. Bye!